Welcome to datascience.show, the podcast where data science meets executive leadership. We talk with top AI and analytics thought leaders about turning data into real business impact. If you're a C-level leader or data expert shaping the future, you're in the right place.
They couldn't ship the model because the data couldn't leave the country. 6 weeks later, they shipped it with synthetic data. But that win almost turned into a regulatory mess. I'm your host, Mirko Peters. We explore how data science and AI drive real business impact straight from the leaders making it happen. Today, I'm giving you a pragmatic executive playbook for synthetic data, when it actually moves the needle, how to validate it, and how to govern it so you don't get surprised. If you're a CEO, CTO, Chief Data Officer, or Head of Analytics, this episode is built for you. You'll get concrete criteria to prioritize synthetic investments, acceptance tests you can demand today, and governance controls to wrap around any vendor or internal pipeline. Quick context. I'll use a composite case study. A senior analytics leader at a global financial services firm. They support credit, fraud, and marketing. 2 constraints drove their decision: strict privacy rules that blocked cross-border sharing, and almost no labeled fraud examples for a new mobile channel. They chose synthetic data as an engineered capability, not a silver bullet, to reduce time to model and enable cross-team work without shipping raw PII. It worked, but only because they treated it like a product with controls. Why synthetic, and why now? 2 simple reasons. 1. Privacy and regulatory friction. Anonymization often kills signal. 2. Speed. Teams can't wait months for labeled holdouts. Synthetic generation can provide controlled diversity and edge cases that accelerate iteration, but it must be governed, or you'll get surprised. So, start with a decision framework. If your problem is pure label scarcity on otherwise abundant data, prioritize labeling pipelines, active learning, or weak supervision. Synthetic becomes the right tool when privacy prevents sharing, rare events dominate your value signal, or you need difficult-to-observe edge cases. A concrete moment from the case: fraud on a new mobile payment method had almost 0 historical fraud labels. Compliance wouldn't let raw transaction records leave the region. The team generated realistic transaction flows for likely attack patterns and used those to spin up a first classifier. 6 weeks to a working model instead of months. But that success didn't come from the generator alone. It came from 3 operational controls the leader insisted on. 1. Business-level acceptance tests. Does a model trained with synthetic data meet performance on a real, unseen holdout within a predefined tolerance? If not, don't ship. Point blank. 2. Mixed training and progressive rollouts. Use synthetic to amplify rare cases. Use real data for central tendency. Phase releases. Monitor live metrics closely and roll back fast if distribution drift shows up. 3. Auditable metadata on every synthetic dataset, generator type, seed datasets, transformation steps, and parameter seeds. If you can't trace provenance, you can't manage incidents or answer auditors. So, let's get practical on generation approaches. There's a spectrum. Rule-based templates are low risk and easy to validate. Conditional generative models recreate joint distributions and need stronger checks. Unconstrained large generators can look real but carry high leakage and bias risk. For high-stakes or regulated models, favor constrained or conditional methods where you can assert distributional properties. For internal prototyping, you can accept more flexibility, but gate production behind your acceptance tests. Validation is where executives should focus. Don't take samples and hope. Require quantitative gates, accuracy tolerance against a real holdout, calibration checks, feature-level distribution comparisons, and targeted scenario tests for edge cases. And include bias audits. Compare subgroup metrics between models trained with and without synthetic augmentation. If subgroup performance degrades, fail fast. Fairness thresholds belong in your acceptance criteria. An illustrative failure. A vendor-generated dataset included timestamp patterns unique to a small merchant.
and auditors spotted those sequences. The generator had effectively echoed exact records. That's a find your way to a regulatory inquiry moment. How did it happen? Overfitting to rare seed patterns and a black box vendor process.
The immediate fix was straightforward: raise holdout similarity thresholds, add synthetic-specific differential privacy controls, and require vendor transparency on generation parameters. But the lesson is organizational. Controls and provenance prevent a near miss from becoming a headline. Another common problem is bias amplification. Generators tend to exaggerate correlations in seed data. Without subgroup checks, you can unintentionally make models worse for minority segments. Executive control here is simple. Require subgroup performance thresholds and run mixed holdback validations. If synthetic augmentation increases error or reduces fairness for protected groups, stop and reassess the generator and the seed data. Now, the leadership side. Fund synthetic data as a platform capability, not a one-off experiment. Treat it like any other product with KPIs and SLOs.
Track 3 KPIs: time to first model for new use cases, lift in performance on scarce classes, and friction reduced for compliance or data access. If those move consistently, scale. If not, stop and iterate.
Governance and RACI beat flashy generators. Assign product ownership for synthetic datasets, define who approves generation parameters, and require executive sign-off for production deployments. Contracts should include provenance clauses, reproduction rights, and SLAs tied to your acceptance tests. On vendor selection, prioritize transparency. Black box vendors create operational risk. Prefer partners that expose parameters, let you export synthetic datasets with metadata, and support audit modes. And when it's core to your business, build in-house expertise. Looking ahead, expect 3 durable trends. Regulation will tighten around provenance. Tooling for hybrid training and fairness auditing will get better. And synthetic datasets will need to play nicely with feature stores and data meshes. Metadata standards will matter.
What should leaders prepare for in the next 12 to 24 months? Mandate provenance and acceptance tests in your AI policy. Invest in a small validation team to evaluate vendors and run production-grade checks. And update procurement to include synthetic-specific contract terms. 2 actionable items you can use this week. 1. Add a synthetic data gate to your model onboarding checklist. Require a business-level acceptance test comparing decisions from synthetic augmented models against a real holdout. If it fails, the dataset stays out of production. 2. Require provenance metadata on any synthetic dataset, generator type, seed sources, and parameter seeds, and store that metadata in your catalog so auditors and model risk teams can query it immediately. A final reflection. Synthetic data is a capability, not a replacement for sound data strategy. Build the controls first, then scale. Otherwise, you trade speed for surprise. That's the difference between models and value.
If you found this episode valuable, subscribe and share it with your network. Grab the synthetic data checklist I referenced. It's on my LinkedIn, and it includes the gating tests and metadata template you can copy into your onboarding flow. Let's connect there. I'm Mirko Peters. We'll be back with more conversations on how data science and AI create real business impact. Until next time.
Thanks for listening to datascience.show. If you found value in this episode, subscribe, share it with your network, and join us next time as we explore how data science drives smarter decisions and better business outcomes.